So, Ronnie, where are you from originally?
I'm from originally Springtown, Texas.
Springton. Oh, that's near Weatherford, correct?
That is correct. It's west
Okay.
of here.
All right. So you're in Texan.
That is correct. Yes.
Awesome. Now I understand that you are visually impaired. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Um, is that something that you developed later in life, or did you have that as you were growing up?
I was born with that, so it's congenital.
Hmm. Okay. And can you tell us what it's called?
I would love to tell you what it's called, but it's kind of a mystery. So
Oh,
I
mystery.
was born with, they call it corneal opacity, which I
Um,
believe is a cataract around your eye, just cloudiness.
hmm.
And they removed that, and then I had a strabismus, and the eyes just kind of go upward, I believe, kind of on their own. And then I have an nystagmus or astigmatism.
Hmm. Okay. And at this point, do you have some vision? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Hmm.
So it's about 2200. So I see fairly
Hmm.
decently, but um, I guess the best way to describe it is that some fine details are left out. So it doesn't look foggy to me. It just doesn't, like
Hmm.
if you look at a picture, you're not going to see um, all of like facial expressions or
Hmm.
the eye color unless you're really
Right.
in someone's bubble per
Yeah,
se.
sure. Yeah, absolutely. You're what I like to describe as somebody that's kind of in that middle ground where you're not totally sighted, you're not totally blind, right?
That's correct. Yes.
Right. Hmm. Absolutely. Now, did you go on to uh, higher education at some point? Did you go? I mean, I know you went to high school, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
So I completed high school and then I did some years in Weatherford. I got an applied arts and science with a certificate of substance abuse counseling studies.
Oh, wow.
And then I took those and um, they let me use all of those and transfer to UNT. And I only had to take a year and a half because all of those transferred into
Hmm.
uh, a bachelor's of applied arts and science with an emphasis in rehab counseling. So I have a rehab study certificate
Nice, nice. And what year did you graduate?
in 2012.
2012. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know college is it's a lot of hard work, but it's especially hard work for somebody that's got a visual impairment. And so sometimes it makes things a little bit more complicated, right?
Yeah, it does, especially with all the technology coming in.
Yeah, sure, sure. But I've known you to be a very resourceful person over the years.
Right.
And I think that's served you well and served you well here at the Lighthouse. So speaking of the Lighthouse, can you tell us a little bit about what you do here?
That's a good question. So I pretty much do whatever is necessary. So
Hmm.
that might be I answer the phone obviously,
Hmm.
but sometimes those calls can be, make you have to be a little flexible and use some counseling skills and really hear what they're trying to
Hmm.
need. So that might,
Empathize. Hmm.
yeah. And so sometimes they say, well, I just need this. Well, you have to ask sometimes a little more. Well, what specifically are you calling for? Who?
Hmm.
Just to find out.
Right.
Uh, and then sometimes, you can find no resources just because I've looked for a lot of resources just for client services and for other groups. I sometimes will just go ahead and share what I know
Hmm.
to save Josie, which I'm sure you guys have talked to a lot,
Hmm.
from having to take an extra call when it was a simple fix.
Yeah. So Jelani here is a wellspring of knowledge when it comes to resources and um, other techniques related to the vision loss. I know here at the Lighthouse you wear a lot of different hats. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, that would be fair.
Hmm. I think. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Um, Sometimes I work in accounting, just taking in the mail and like looking and um, I've been take the check stubs and separating those um, for deposits. I've been known to take in donations and enter those donations into a database, and then so that we can give thank you letters to those folks who send out, send us donations, because we want them to know that we really appreciate them supporting us.
Certainly do.
And then, but that's just, and a lot of it's just sometimes you find out from doing that, you know someone who calls, so you can be, thank them, or cognizant of who someone is when they come in.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, Ronnie's been a great help to our agency over the years, and we're very fortunate to have her with us. Um, I know in the community you're involved in other things related to vision loss or blindness, right? Can
That's correct, yes.
you tell me a little bit more about that?
I serve currently as the National Federation of the Blind Forward Chapter President. So that might mean, and then so we have a few other board members, but we try to advocate for, we go to, send someone to Washington every year, or
Wow.
we may, uh, sometimes we get to send people to Austin to advocate, or sometimes that's just in our local backyard. Rather it be transportation, because we know we love our transportation, but there's
Sure.
some hiccups along the way
Hiccups, yeah. All right.
that people just run into, or if it's, an agency that needs some help, or and a lot of times we try to get to know the different agencies that are in our area, so that we can uh, tell them about ourselves, but also if we run into somebody else, then they can utilize it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully we get to bring it back to the Lighthouse, and share it with people here.
Right.
But
Wonderful.
it also gives it's twofold, because we also get to let people know that we're here, so maybe they have people who are blind or visually impaired, and they can, we can help them somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So
And the more connected you are to the community of folks with vision problems, I feel the more informed you are, right? And the
right.
better equipped you are to deal with the challenges that we all face when it comes to blindness and visual impairment. So
Right.
that's awesome. Well, you're a great resource for us, Ronnie. And again, we're very fortunate to have you with us.
Thank you.
Does anybody out there listening have a few questions for Ronnie? We got a few minutes here left. Any questions or comments?
Bob has his hand raised.
Okay, Bob.
Ronnie, you mentioned donations. How well funded is the Lighthouse, and what are donations used for?
That's a good question. If I'm correct, I don't have rule over where the donations go, but a lot of times they are used to fund different rehabilitation programs. Like we have Rehab on the Road, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we have to purchase the location and the gas and the driver, we need volunteers and drivers, and just.
So it helps to support expenses related to our rehabilitation efforts
Right.
sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Or you guys do cooking without looking. Well, you have to purchase the food, correct? So just different things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Good question, Bob.
Thank you.
Anybody?
That'd be good to mention, Kevin, that for those who don't know, we do have an RV.
Oh, yes, we do have an RV
that we take out from time to time, and it's kind of like a mobile independence manner of sports.
Yeah, like almost like a traveling model apartment for somebody who's visually impaired. So, on board is a small kitchenette that's got bump dots on the appliances and other accommodations built in, so as to have an example on hand to show somebody who's visually impaired what the possibilities are for modifying their home so that they can be more independent in their living space, right? So we certainly look for opportunities to use that. I believe it's a 32-foot long RV. It's quite a truckload.
Right. It's got slides on the side, so it expands, and
Right.
we have some assistive technology, and just it's just a model home of things you could do in your home. for independent living.
And for full disclosure, neither myself or Sean drive it. So
Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
Concern. Yeah, we we're very fortunate to have a volunteer or two that helps us with driving that into locations and setting it up. And so, yeah, it's a great resource. And again, we look for opportunities to use that. Anybody else have questions or comments for Miss Ronnie?
Anthony has his hand up, but I did want to say, Bob, Lisa Fellers is our head of development. She actually handles all of our fundraising. If you ever have any questions, I can email you her information.
Mm-hmm. Excellent point.
Go ahead, Anthony.
Kevin and Ronnie, I do have a question. It's probably good for Rebecca, for everybody involved. But I know last year you guys, and I thought it was a cool thing because it takes away from your summer schedule doing what you have to do, because you guys are involved with Lighthouse for the Blind. Is that correct, or whatever it's called? Are you going to be having one this year due to COVID-19?
Camp Lighthouse, you're probably referring to Camp Carter. No, we are not having a Camp Carter this year because
unfortunately,
of COVID.
Unfortunately, we aren't. Normally, we have a camp that teenagers come out to. They spend a week with YMCA Camp Carter, and then there's also a technology portion of that we do, and not really the time and place for that this summer.
Yeah, we were pretty disappointed by that. That's one of the highlights of our year is to be able to do that camp and work with those kids, and it's really rewarding. So hopefully next year that will be the case. But anyway, any other questions or comments for Miss Ronnie? Otherwise, I just want to say thank you, Ronnie, for coming over here today and talking with us and sharing a little bit about yourself. And hope you guys listening out there got to know Ronnie a little bit better, because I'm sure some of you have called on occasion to talk to Ronnie. It's very likely. So.
Well, thank you guys for having me. And if you guys do have any questions, the door's always open.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks again, Ronnie.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Yeah, we're going to have another guest here with me in just a moment. So we're doing the old switcheroo here.
Should have had the cricket sound up and
I know, we should have had
crickets.
crickets.
Would have been a good opportunity.
Where's your
that.
soundboard at, Sean? Oh my
God! Ready.
Am I going to have to play Marty Robbins again? Yeah. Excuse me?
Liz has her hand up. Go ahead, Liz.
Hey, Liz.
Hi, I'm going to help you out with the iPad, how you raise your hand thing you asked earlier.
Oh, good.
Okay, because that's what I've been using. On
Mm-hmm.
my iPad, when I'm in the app, on the top right-hand corner, there is.
I have a seat right here.
I can't see. Okay, there's whatever those three dots are called, and then the word more. And you click on it. And a box comes up that says chat, meeting settings, virtual background, raise hand, and then it changes to lower hand once you hit raise hand, and then disconnect audio.
Oh, great.
And the pop-up box comes up every single time when you unmute me. There's 3 words across it, and you hit the bottom one, because I don't remember what they are right now, but I have to unmute myself after you unmute me. So that's how you do it on the iPad. It took me a little bit to figure it out, but I do know it now. As you know, because I raise my hand a lot. So I just thought I'd share that information.
Thank you, Liz.
You're welcome.
Kevin, I had you muted.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Rebecca. All right. Well, I have with me another employee here.
Hello.
Hi, this is Miss Angela Yount. Am I saying that correctly?
You're saying it correctly.
All right. And Angela is a employee here at the Lighthouse with me. This is Miss Ronnie.
Hello.
Miss Angela is always a ray of sunshine here. We're very fortunate that
You
she
just
could
didn't call me
stop.
on my bad days.
Well, today is hopefully a good day, right? Right. So, Miss Angela, just start off here. How long have you worked at the Lighthouse for the Blind?
It will be nearly 14 years. It's going on
14 years.
Yeah.
Goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. You must have seen a lot of different things in your time here, huh?
I have. I've seen
Yeah.
a lot of different things and got to experience a lot of different things since I've been
Experience
here.
different things. Absolutely. Right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Awesome. Just before I get too far ahead of myself, and I know that you have a visual impairment.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit more about that? Like when
Uh,
you were diagnosed? And
It is macular degeneration. It was myself, and I have an older brother and a younger brother. My older brother's deceased now. But when we were in our teens, our early teens, my mom took us to a specialist because I started wearing glasses like in the fourth grade, but my eyesight started getting, worse and had to sit up in the front of the classroom. But when we got in our early teens, my mom took us to the doctor and he told us what we all had, which was macular degeneration. And he said by the time we reached 40, we would be totally blind. Well, I thank the Lord that I'm not, because I'm 60 now. And even though my eyesight has gotten worse, since my 20s and 30s and 40s, I still can see, but yet my eyesight has decreased. But so I went to a specialist maybe 2 or 3 years ago, where I would get glasses to check my eyesight. She said that my what I have will not lead to blindness, which I thank God for that. And as far as my eyesight shouldn't get any worse than what it is now, it should remain the same. But so I think at least I have what I do have. Yes.
Right. And now working here at the Lighthouse, you mentioned that you've worked here for a number of years, of course. Can you tell us a little bit more about what it is that you do here on a daily basis?
Right now, I work in a department called the Specialty Department. And what that is, if you go online to the website, to the Lighthouse website, you can order things like pen sets, rulers, targets, drug test kits, all kinds of things. You just go in there and see what you want, and they bring me the orders. And when they bring me the orders, I fill those orders, I package them, and do the paperwork, and take all that back to the warehouse to be shipped out.
Wow. What kind of technology do you use to help you do your job?
I use a CCTV, which helps me to see smaller. Well, it's regular print to someone with 20/20 vision, but to me, it's too small and I can't see it. And so I use a CCTV to magnify it for me, so that way I know what I need to do. And I also can use a portable one. What is that one called? The little one?
A sharper image?
Yes. And
see a handheld, right?
when I need to read find a lot number on like a drug test kit, I need to see the numbers and stuff like that. I need something portable so I hold in my hand, so I take that around or to where I'm working, and I can read things where I'm able to write things down. So I use those kind of tools to help me do my job.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. So what kind of things do you do for fun? I know you're obviously active outside the Lighthouse, or do you have any particular hobbies?
Well, the one thing I have done a lot lately in the last couple of years, I'm a Audible fan. Audible.com, I download books, and when you see me, even when you come to my department, I'm listening to a book. Even at home, I'm constantly listening to a book about different things. I can go from one range to another.
You're you have a lot of diverse interests, I've noticed, right?
We discussed that.
Yeah. Sure, we have some folks out there who are talking book patrons who probably can identify with that. So you're a voracious reader. In fact, when I go by your department, I hear you over there working hard and listening to a book, and I'm like, oh, what is she listening to? And I find myself like wanting to kind of linger, like, oh, wow, that's interesting.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
I do that. I also like doing cryptograms. You know what cryptograms are?
No.
I love doing those. You break a code. You have letters that you have to figure out what they stand for and what message they're saying. So I also like doing cryptograms as well. Yeah, so I enjoy stuff. But as far as being outside, I do love being outside. I have work in the landscape in the yard or whatever when it's not too hot.
Yeah,
I like
sure.
doing things like that. When it's beautiful, I love being outside. But the son and I, we tend to agree since I'm older. Yeah, so
short burst, right?
Yeah,
Short burst. Yeah.
we don't tend to agree, but I love sitting on my back porch and
Right.
and I have no neighbors behind me, and I sit on my back porch and just enjoy the view. So I like that too.
Wonderful. And I know you have some cats at home, don't you?
Yes, well, they're not mine. They're my daughter's.
Oh,
but
your daughters. Okay.
but I would say they're mine. Yes, we have cats, and they're all related, but they're all fixed. All the cats are fixed, and we also have my son's dog. Her name is Lexi. She's a pet, but she's gentle. She's not mean, and she's just as spoiled as the cats. She is. She's just as spoiled.
I have some pets as well. I'm sure the folks listening probably have some critters at home that they love.
They're family. That's
right.
You wouldn't let anyone hurt them, and you take good care of them, and you love them. And one thing about pets, they love you back unconditionally.
Right.
So that's
absolutely. One thing I've always appreciated about you, Angela, is just how you're always positive in the workplace, and you're always
thank you.
You're always upbeat, and then you're very focused on what you need to do, but
I like encouraging people.
Yeah.
If I can encourage someone or give a positive word or anything like that, that's a good thing, because we have enough things in our life that can bring us down.
Yeah.
And it's nice to come across someone. They're not ignoring. You're not ignoring the problem, but you can have an encouraging word or just have a listening ear or something like that.
Right.
And that's good.
Wonderful. And I think folks out there listening now would probably find what you're saying encouraging.
I hope so.
And just the fact that, here you are, you're visually impaired, but you're obviously very independent and you're gainfully employed.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You work a 40-hour job like anybody else.
I try.
With responsibilities. Right?
Yes.
And you manage that pretty well. And I think that's encouraging to a lot of folks. Some of the people listening now, or some are kind of started on this path of rehabilitation, and others have been on it for a little while. But it's always good to bring in different voices to hear about their journey.
It's a wonderful thing about before I started working here, I would have, if someone would have told me, because when I started here, I started in the box department, and we make boxes for the government and stuff like that. If someone would have told me that I would be stitching boxes and I would be doing this or doing that, I would go, oh, no, not with my eyesight. But no, I learned to stitch boxes. I learned to do a lot of things, and that helps build confidence in yourself. It also lets you, it helps you to say, hey, I'm contributing to my community. I'm a part of something that's helping to build.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel good. And they say, hey, I can do things. Just because I'm visually impaired, I still can do things.
You can still
You're
do
an
things.
inspiration. And I work with other people who are totally blind that are doing things. And I go, wow, just think the things that they do. So we can be a part of our community to help contribute. We can. And for those who are just starting off, be of good courage, knowing that you can find what what your niche is, what you never know until you try.
Absolutely.
You never know until you try. And if you try and have the right tools to do what you do, then that's good.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it any better. That's wonderful. Any questions out there for Miss Angela? Any comments? Thoughts? Got some folks maybe out there listening, and maybe some people in the chat. I don't know. Rebecca, do we have any hands raised?
No. Angela, how long have you been here?
Going on 14 years next month.
That's what I thought.
14 years. And I love what I do.
Yeah, you do a great job.
Thank you.
One thing I appreciate about Angela is that she has a little cowbell that she wears on her waist. So I always know when she's coming, even if I don't hear her. So she can't sneak up on me.
Oh,
So
well, I can hold it still.
you can hold it
'Cause I
still.
used to
Oh,
do
uh-oh.
Alex that way. I'll hold it still, walk up on him.
Right. Sneaky.
Yeah, my daughter would say, "You're so mean to the blind people." I said, "Hey, ask for it."
Yeah, ask for it, right? Hey, I just think of, if you're picking on me, then that just means that I'm like anybody else, right?
I think it's kind of funny. I said, "Now, how can you be totally blind and talk mess, and then, hey, I'm gonna get you."
We have fun with each other here
Yes.
within the Lighthouse. I have some other coworkers whose names I will not mention that play jokes on me. Rebecca.
On a side note, Mindy has her hand up. Go ahead, Mindy. Take the spotlight off me.
Hello.
Hi, Angela. It's
Hi
Mindy.
there.
How are you?
How you doing?
I'm good. I just wanted to say hi and say that I really miss you and that personality. And hope you're doing well.
I'm doing well, thank you.
That's it. Just wanted to say hi.
Oh, thank you.
We'll have to give Sean a bell so he can ring it at home. So to remind you, Angela.
Are you doing well?
I am about to leave to go to school.
Oh, wow. What are you going to school for?
Massage therapy.
Congratulations on your wedding.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thanks, Mindy.
What kind of books do you like to read, Angela?
Well, more so listen to, I like Westerns by Louis L'Amour. I like some of Stephen King's books.
Oh, it's scary. Ooh, she's into the scary stuff.
Michael Crichton, like Jaws.
Jurassic Park, right?
Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Jaws is by Spielberg. No, Michael Crichton wrote Jaws. And things like that. So it can go from Westerns to something like Jaws to something even scarier than that, dealing with werewolves, monsters.
All right, that's good stuff there.
I'm getting chills over here.
So do you use Bard?
I have in the past. I do have it on my phone, and because one reason why I like Audible, dealing with the narrators, because a narrator either can make a book come to life.
You're so right.
A good book,
yeah.
But a bad narrator can kill the book. You go, oh my gosh, what are they doing?
I've seen some narrators on there that I think they're professionally trained actors that can change their voice and the dialect.
Amazing?
Yeah, and do multiple characters at one time.
That is so amazing. When I hear that, it's just, wow, that's really good. But on Bar, they also, I could go back to Audible. Like I listen to MC Beaton. She writes these Agatha Raisin mysteries.
Oh.
And when Penelope Keefe is the narrator, when she does it, I've grown to like her voice. When you go to Bar, it's a different person. It could be the same book, but somebody else doing the narration. It seems to me it takes away from the person that you're so used to listening to, especially if they're a very good narrator. You go, wow, I like this person. They bring this book to life to where you can imagine it in your mind, and they're not good, and you can get into the story, but they're saying, you go, oh my Lord.
I'm beginning to wonder if Angela would make for a great narrator.
I don't know. But so I do have Bard, but I listen to Audible more.
Okay, fair enough. Any questions out there, comments for Miss Angela?
I think people are shy.
Don't be shy.
Alice has her hand up. Go ahead, Alice.
Alice, are you there?
Hello?
Uh-huh.
Oh, there's Wendy. Yeah, go ahead, Wendy.
Well, she was saying she doesn't listen to the Bart, but she listens to Audible. Is that a program I can download on my iPad or my phone?
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
my question too. I had never heard of Audible.
Oh, really? It's audible.com, audiblebooks.com. And yes, you can get their mobile app and put it on your tablet, your iPhone, your computer. Yes, it is. You do pay a monthly fee if you want, because you get one credit, and that's like $16.18 a month. If you want 2 credits or whatever, it's more. But they offer books at a membership price, which is, you know, say a book can cost $36, but as a member, you can get it for $13. Or you could buy credits and get it for a credit. And it is really nice. I've been an Audible member for, oh my gosh, I know over 5 years. And so yeah, I'm pretty sure over 5 years I've been an Audible member. But yeah, I listen to Audible books. In the beginning, like years ago, I would read books. I used my CCTV to read books, but it just got to the point where it's just, you know,
Your eyes would fatigue.
right, your eyes would get tired. So once I started listening to books on cassettes. Do they make those anymore? And then from cassettes to CDs, and then once Audible came out, where you can ebooks, where you can download and listen to it, I've just been an Audible fan from then on.
Now, the advantage with Bard being is that there's no monthly membership.
No, that's
so
correct.
There is certainly a price difference. One thing I will say about Audible that I do appreciate is that if you have an Amazon Alexa at home and it's connected, you can to your Audible account, which you can do.
Right.
Alexa will actually read the book, the Audible book, to you. You can say, Alexa, resume reading Audible, and it'll pick up where you left off at last. So I find that to be a pretty handy feature. Do you do that at home sometimes?
I do that at home because
Yeah.
it depends on, because I have one in my bedroom and I have one in the living room, and I can say Audible, play play Audible book, Agatha Raisin and blah, blah, blah. And it'll bring it up and start playing the book, and I'll be in the kitchen and I can listen to it while I'm in the kitchen.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Yeah, or in my room where I don't have to bring up my phone or my tablet. I just tell Alexa to play my Audible book, and she does. So yeah, it connects with my Amazon. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
And like you said, Bars is free. So if you don't want to go the Audible route, go that way with Bars, where they have many downloads, books, and you can join. You know, you have to fill out an application, correct? And
You're right.
go ahead, you tell them.
I think you have to be a member of a Talking Book program first. That's a prerequisite. And then once you're a member of a Talking Book program, you can then apply for the BARD program, which I believe BARD stands for Braille audio reading download. Sean, is that right? You know how I am with that.
Yeah, that's correct.
You know how I am with abbreviations. So
I do.
Work in progress.
I would just mention, Angela, that BARD is actually starting to get more of the commercial books. So when they release a book, they'll release it with the commercial readers. Like one of my favorites is Scott Brick. I don't know if you've heard him read any books. He's really good. Gosh, there's a lot of them. They're.
Okay, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, sometimes I've noticed with BARD, if you shop around a little bit, you can find a really good narrator. I find some of them really do put a lot of effort into giving inflection and personality to what they're reading, which is really important if you're reading a fiction book that has multiple characters, right?
Yes.
Yeah, certainly can make it or break it.
So. Exactly. It really can. It can make it or break it. A book. So yes.
Any other
Kevin?
questions or comments?
Was Alice able to ask her question?
My question was the same one. Thank you.
Perfect.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, we have no other hands raised, Kevin.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's no other questions or comments for Miss Angela, I'm going to let her get back to what she does best around here.
Being really in the line. Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Now, when you leave, you're going to have to shake your bell.
Oh, okay. I want you to see it.
You want to see it? Thank you, Angela. You've been a delight.
Yeah, I want you to feel it.
Uh-huh. Oh, there's the bell.
Okay, bye.
Thank you, Angela. You've been
Thank
great.
you.
Appreciate it.
How you doing, Ira?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm good. So you said you've been here at the Lighthouse, what, 24 years?
24 years.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about your vision.
Well,
or lack thereof.
Huh?
Or lack thereof.
Well, my vision is totally gone right now. When I got here at the Lighthouse in '96, I could see colors and figures, but I couldn't make out details, and it was due to detached retinas. So they told me it would last for about, maybe a month or so, and I wouldn't see anything, but it took almost 15 years before I couldn't see anything. So
okay.
that was a blessing for me.
So you started here in '96, and I guess you were born sighted?
Yes.
Okay. And where are you from?
Fort
Fort Worth?
Texas.
You grew up in Fort Worth.
Right
Okay.
here.
Yeah, I grew up in Arlington, and Fort Worth the best place to be.
Mhm.
Tell us what you do here at the Lighthouse, or what you've done. Now, you've been here a while.
Well, when I first came to the Lighthouse, I worked in the subcontract unit. That's where they put pens together. They did stuff like packaged cotton. They did air conditioner fittings, light bulbs, you name it, they did it. And they did it, and it was nice. And then I got to start working on the saws with the heavy equipment. I started using the table saw they have here that with the safety feature they have. It's pretty easy. It's adjustable. It's really good. The Lighthouse did a lot of people like me that can't see, couldn't see that well, and they teach you to adapt to working in this atmosphere.
Yeah. You have any hobbies?
Any hobbies?
What are you doing home? What do you do for fun?
Well,
you got any kiddos?
Yeah, I have. Well, they're grown. I have 2 boys and 2 girls.
All right.
Yeah. And all of them born in August.
Really? All of them Leos?
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I'm August 9th.
Yeah. Well, now one of them is Virgo.
Oh, okay. Okay. Wow.
Ira, since you've been here so long, what are some of the biggest changes that you've seen over the years at Lighthouse?
The biggest change really is the turnover of the management. I've been here just about longer than anyone in management. But really, they adapted. They got more stuff that we can do that I didn't think blind people could do. Like we have drug testing kits that you have a sonic welder you have to use, and it's really easy. And we have new projects like a tubing department that I didn't think I could do, but I worked in that department, and it's easy as well. So they just find jobs that we can adapt to.
That's great.
That's good. So what about Employee of the Year in DC? What do you think about all that?
Go to DC, what was that, last year?
No, about 2 or 3 years. Oh, it was not. It was. I had a ball.
I heard you painted the town. You're a superstar.
Me and Kevin painted the town. We were party animals. Well, we had a ball down there. It was nice meeting other people that was in the same situation that I'm in, and they really treated us well down there.
Oh, that's great.
I loved it. I wish there was a program that they can get us help grants to go down there every year when they have.
Yeah.
Huh?
So just a little background on that. Ira was our Employee of the Year nominee whatever year that was. It's blanking my mind.
2018.
2018. And with that, National Industries for the Blind has a big symposium each year. And so we take everybody up there, and then advocates for agencies like ourselves, we go as well. Then we actually go up to Capitol Hill and advocate for changes in the laws to help agencies like us keep going and growing.
Yes.
There is a hand up. Let's see. Last 4 digits, 2638.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, okay. Do y'all have employment placement services there too?
No, we don't have placement per se. We do have an industrial side of the Lighthouse where I think we have about 30 folks that are blind and low vision that work here on different product lines.
Oh, okay. I was just wondering, because I'm kind of tired of being at home, and I was just wondering what can I do, or do I have to go and find my own job?
Yeah, I mean, from time to time we're hiring for the different product lines that we have here. Well, we make boxes and
boxes, tubing. We do copy paper. We do drug testing kits and specialty items like that Angela do with those pens and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Wendy.
Okay.
We got
Thank you.
We got any other questions?
We do not.
I have a question for Ira. Ira,
Yes.
did you serve in the military when you were younger?
What did he say?
Say that again.
Did you serve in the military when you were younger, Ira?
Yes, I did.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I served in the Army. When I got out of high school, I wanted to go while I was in high school, where I could try to get in there before the Vietnam War was over. But due to my age, they said I had to wait till after I graduated. And when I got out, that way I knew I could get a college education. But when I got out, the war was over, so they had stopped the GI Bill at that time. But I still went in to serve. And I had a ball. I went to Alaska. I went to Germany. I got to see parts of the world I didn't think I'd ever get to see. And it was a real good experience.
That's good.
If I had to do it again, all over again, I still do it.
Hey, that's great. You get to go around the world, get to visit some places.
Yeah. I mean, and then you get to, sometimes we have reunion with some of the guys that I was in the military with. So they want to do it in Chicago this year, but due to the COVID, we didn't get to do it.
Okay.
Yep. You get some long-lasting friendships.
That's great. Well, I appreciate you spending some time with us today. Tell us a little bit about your story. And if anybody doesn't have any more questions, we'll...
I want to say this, that when I first came to the Lighthouse and I first started losing my sight, I said that I didn't know what I was going to do with myself. I didn't know if I was going to be able to work. I didn't know if I was going to be able to adapt. And so somebody suggested the Lighthouse. I came here. And if you're out there and you're blind, don't get down on yourself, because there's help out there for us. And so don't never think you can't do nothing and you never amount to anything, because I'm living proof that if you put your mind to it, you can do whatever you want to do. And I thank the Lighthouse for being there for people like me.
Well, we appreciate it. We're glad you're here. All right. Well, our next contestant on the Kevin and Sean show is Miss Josie Gordon. Josie, how long have you been at the Lighthouse?
I started my 14th year March of this year. I'm working on my 14th year.
14th year. Okay.
Yes, same area.
It's kind of funny because like I guess Ira and Josie, I grew up around the lighthouse. I think I came back in the early 80s to a summer camp they used to have here. And so we knew somebody that was here a long time,
Yeah.
Wayne Pound.
Uh-huh.
And so we kind of have that shared.
He was my boss when I first.
Was he?
After my first year, yes. Then he was my boss until he passed. Yes.
So what did you start off doing here?
I started in the digital imaging systems department. It was brand new back in 2007, and it lasted a year. And when it quit, then they had me. They kept me. Didn't make me go away. Bless the Lord. But anyway, I went to work for Todd and for Wayne Pound for is their secretary, I guess you would call it, for a while there. And I was working part-time with them and part-time with the head of sales back at that time. And then Wayne and Todd got together and got me as full-time for them. And I've been in, it was rehabilitation services back at that time, and then it became client services, and I've been in that same area, just different bosses ever since 2008.
So what about your vision loss? What
I have glaucoma, and I've had it since my late 20s. And that's when they found I had it, which was a little early, but I've had it since my late 20s. So it's just been slowly, excuse me, allergies, deteriorating over the years. And I am legally blind in both eyes. My left eye has got a cataract they won't touch, but it had a hole in the middle of it because of glaucoma, so I couldn't have no middle vision in it. And now I have very little because of the cataract.
Right. So you grew up with vision.
Yes. Well, I wore glasses from the age of 6, bottle cap almost. I was nearsighted, extremely nearsighted and bad vision, but it wasn't anything medical until later. And then I wound up with glaucoma.
So did you drive?
The last time I drove was in 1985. That's the last time I got behind the wheel.
Oh.
And I said, never again. That was it. I did not want to injure myself or kill somebody.
Yeah.
I was driving home from work one afternoon from the base, windows down. It was in the summer. Something got in my eye, and it was my eye only eye I could see with at that time. And I still, to this day, have no idea how I got off the road safely and parked on the side of the road until I could see again. And then I went home and parked the car and said, that's it. Never drove again. I would not do it. So
what did you do before the Lighthouse?
I worked for the government for 30 years, from 1964 to 1994. As a civil service employee. So I was able to retire from there in 94 because my vision reached the point I could no longer do my current job as secretary to the commander at the Defense Plant Representative Office, in which at that time when I retired was Lockheed.
Oh, okay. So
but I worked for the U.S. Air Force, different bases, General Services Administration for about 1.5 years, maybe 2. And then I went back to U.S. Air Force bases, and then got on over at General Dynamics with the Air Force Plant Representative Office. Then it became Defense Plant Representative Office. That's DLA. So a wide expanse there, but 30 years civil service. And then I was able to retire in 94 and did not have to go back to work until 2007.
So I guess you probably had some experiences with the state. I think it was it still Commission for the Blind then, or was?
When I first started with my vision problem in 94, yes, it was Commission for the Blind. And that's who worked with me. They came out to where I lived, taught me how to use the cane, showed me how to use my appliances, marked them for me. And like I said, I was fine. I just enjoyed it. was able to be with my mother. And then when she passed away, I needed to go back to work, and I got back with DARS then.
Mhm.
And I think it was
Probably Scott Hudson or
it was my counselor was Donna Clopton.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
super wonderful lady, and she worked with me and found out about an opening here at the Lighthouse for that new digital imaging department. Knew I had secretarial experience, could use a computer, etc. And so she said, called me up and said, get your butt over to the Lighthouse and turn in a resume. They have an opening. I did, and a week later they called me for an interview, and a week later I was hired. And that's where I've been ever since then. And I love my job, client services, especially. I like what I do.
She definitely keeps us in line. Isn't that right, Kevin?
I'm a nag.
No, you're just persistent, Josie. It's
Is
different.
that it?
Josie, now I know that you have some hobbies, but I think one of your favorite hobbies aren't you a pet person?
Yes, I that's my main thing. I have my cats are all rescued, all fixed, and I currently have way too many. I will not add to the number I have because it's way too many, but I have 11 inside cats, and they don't go out. They're my babies, and they're spoiled rotten. So
I bet they are.
oh yes, they are. Yes, my whole house is arranged so they can look out windows and roam and lay on a bench in front of a window or get in the cat tower. So anyway, yes, I love my cats.
She has cats.
I live in the country. Mhm.
She's also like Angela was. You're a reader as well.
Oh yes, I love my books. Mm-hmm. And I
What's
do.
your favorite kind of novels? What's your favorite kind of novels?
I like vampire, werewolves, science fiction is my favorite, and that kind.
Yeah.
But supernatural. Mhm.
I like some of that.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
I'm a reader as well.
So.
We're probably even there. I probably 10 or so books a month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got a Victor Stream reader that I've got SD cards full of books. So when Talking Book program shut down there for a while, I was using that and listening to those books. It'd been a long time, so they were all like new to me. But and I have borrowed books.
Yeah, and you've been working all through the unpleasantness that we just experienced the last couple of months.
Yes, I was the only one in our department in the building. In one big room with one person from sales, and we had the whole room to ourselves. So yeah, so we got to come to work every day, check temperature, check the oxygen level, then you could come in the building. So
Hey Josie, this is Kevin. I just had a quick question. What would you say is the favorite thing about your job here at the Lighthouse? Favorite thing?
To people who are also experiencing some of the problems that I first went through when I started getting to where my vision was worse, and being able to know what they're going through and tell them, hey, look, you just learn to do things differently. You can still do things. You can still do a lot of the same things you used to do. You just learn to do them differently and a little slower maybe. Now mine is a little slower, yes, but anyway, I just like talking with other people and helping them if I can.
So we got any questions for Miss Josie?
I do. I had somebody message in. What type of technology do you use, Josie? Do you use JAWS or CCTV?
I use Fusion, which is Zoom Text and JAWS. I'm currently still learning JAWS. I'm not very fast at that. It's taking me a while, but I'm slowly working on trying to be more experienced with
best
JAWS.
of both worlds.
Yeah, but right now I'm using Zoom Text and JAWS. So I got two good ways to do it.
Right.
Any other questions anybody have?
Let me see. Somebody just raised their hand and my iPad froze up. Alice has a question. Go ahead, Alice. Alice, you may have to unmute on your end.
I just wanted to say that my experiences at the Lighthouse would not have been so good except for Josie and Ronnie. They really made it warm and friendly and caring. And I appreciate it. I haven't been there for a long time, but I sure am glad to see both of you today. And I love this format.
Thank you.
I don't get to travel very often, but they made it so warm for me when I came there. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
thank you.
Alice and Bob have become our regulars on all of our stuff.
Oh, that is
everything
super.
We've done. They're always here.
Uh-huh. And it's so much easier for y'all to be able to do this and to have to try to get somewhere, because that is the thing we have the most problem with, getting transportation. So this is a great way to do it and keep you informed and being able to talk to other people. It's super.
Yeah, and it's been really neat because we've had people come on from Pennsylvania and Ohio, all over the country,
yes,
all over Texas. So
yeah, I've had some of them call me and say, "How do I get into this?" and one of them was from Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
I remember that. I said, "Ooh, alrighty." So,
hey, Josie.
Yes.
This is Alex. I wanted to ask you if you had like one piece of advice for someone who's slowly losing their vision like you have, what would you give to them?
Don't panic. It's not the end of the world. Just take it a day at a time so you can adjust to it, and just tell yourself, I can still do what I used to. I just have to do it differently. And then start learning. And don't be as slow as I am if you have to learn JAWS. Spend a little more time on it. They fuss at me about that. So anyway, I'm working on it. They say, leave the mouse alone. And all right. But just don't panic. It's not the end of the world.
Liz has her hand up. Let's see. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay, found my unmute button. How do you make, as you're slowly losing your vision, how do you make other people understand good days and bad days as far as vision goes? And why last year you could see something that you're not able to do or see this year? Because that's kind of tricky. People don't get it.
I couldn't hear her.
Did you not hear me?
Can you speak up just a little bit?
Yeah, let me see. Okay, am I louder now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, how do you explain to people about your vision going slowly and make them understand how you have good vision days and bad vision days, and last year maybe you could do this that you can't do this year? Is that something that's kind of challenging?
It's kind of hard, yes, because not everybody has got the same vision problem. We're all probably legally blind or totally blind, but each of us sees things differently. So it's kind of hard. You just have to take it a day at a time. Some days you have a little bit more clarity than others. I don't know what that has to do with, weather or what. And then other days your vision is a little foggier. But it's just something you just take a day at a time.
I think we all have different conditions.
Yeah, each one of us has got a different reason for our vision loss, and they're not all the same. We don't see the same things.
Right,
I have
but
lots of holes
other people,
in my vision.
yeah, other people though that don't have vision issues, how do you explain it?
It's hard because a lot of people who can see don't understand that we can't and what we can and cannot see. So that
Right.
part is hard. I've got to where I've got one of those little vision plastic cards.
Yeah.
And sometimes, simulators, the little vision simulators that you can put one in your purse or whatever. And if you get somebody like that, hand it to them and say, this has got different types of vision loss, and mine is similar too, because what's on the chart doesn't exactly match my vision loss. Those little cards, but
right,
that helps me a little bit, but it's only when you've got someone that you can show it to.
You know, something me and Kevin a lot of times will in some of the presentations we do is that people, you know, if you don't say you don't use a cane, but you're having vision problems, and people, you know, they see you run into a wall or they see you run into a pole and they think, gosh, what's wrong with him or her? And the cane can kind of be like that ID. You know, if somebody sees that you have a cane, they go, oh, well, you know, they might have some vision problems.
Right.
Hey, Liz, this is Kevin.
Yes.
Now, when you mentioned family, not understanding, is it that they don't understand that you're no longer able to see as well as you once did, and they think you can still see the same? Is that sometimes the case?
Well, like, for instance, my sister, who I haven't seen in probably 5 or 6 years now, she's surprised that, like, I can still crochet. She thought I would be, like, totally blind and can't do anything. And a lot of people just think you can see or you can't see. There's not that middle part.
Sure.
And I try to explain that. Oh,
right.
Go ahead.
Sometimes it's helpful to ask them some open-ended questions to help them understand, because a lot of people who can see 20/20 do things without vision all the time, but they're just not accustomed to thinking of it, oh, I'm doing it the blind way. You know, for example, you may ask, well, when you get up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, do you turn on every light in the house to find the restroom? Now, they may say yes, but chances are they're probably going to say no, because they're going to say, well, of course not, because I know my home. I've lived here for X amount of years, and I just intuitively know where it's at in the dark. And you might use that as an opportunity. Well, that's what I do. I do that on a daily basis. I'm functioning without sight. And that might be kind of a light bulb moment for that person. Or you may ask them, well, if you're looking for something, and maybe, in your pocket perhaps, or your purse, do you pull everything out of your pocket or your purse to find something? Usually people will say no, because I can identify what something is by touch, be it spare change, or be it car keys. Because people just can reach into their pocket and identify things by touch. And so that's kind of doing things without vision, or doing it the blind way. So it may be helpful to point that out when it's appropriate, to help them kind of understand. That's what I would recommend anyway.
Yeah, what I try and do is tell them to put your thumbs one on top of the other, and then put your fingers on top of each other where you're making a circle, and then look through that circle. And mine is still almost that big. And that it's not tunnel vision, it's cone vision, because that's something they don't understand. It's the further away you look, the bigger the circle is.
Hey, Liz.
But it's hard to explain, yeah?
For people who are visual, on our website, we actually have a great visual simulator, and it shows different conditions. It has like a photo of downtown Fort Worth, and you can change it to different eye conditions up to total darkness. That might, like, if you're able to sit down with your family and show them that way they can see a spectrum of different visual conditions.
Spectrum, absolutely. That's an excellent point, Rebecca. Vision loss is really, it is a spectrum, and only a minority of people who are considered blind have no sight at all. It's the overwhelming majority have some degree of vision, some level of sight, and a lot of folks in just the kind of the public consciousness think that either you're totally blind or you're totally sighted. But we all know that's not the case, and I especially understand that because I have retinitis pigmentosa, maybe similar to what you have. And
that's
when I was younger, the challenge was that I was very adept at getting by with my tunnel vision. I could look straight ahead and see pretty accurately with my acuity, but it was what was around that point of focus, my lack of peripheral, my lack of depth perception. And so people, when I tell them that I have a visual impairment, they would be kind of incredulous. They would say, well, wait a minute. I just saw you do the following. You read a sign across the room, but yet you can't see what's below your nose.
Exactly.
So it's hard to get them understand that it's not all or nothing, and especially it's true with RP because so often I used to hear, well, you don't look blind, right? you don't look sight impaired. You're looking right at me, and your eyes don't look impaired. So those are challenging moments. I think though, like Rebecca said, using our resources here on the website sometimes can help. Also, what we've done in the past, we actually have simulator goggles here where it's a pair of glasses, and we have a cone attached to the lenses, so it's to simulate tunnel vision. So simulator glasses sometimes can make the point by looking kind of through your eyes in a way, right?
Right. I've told people to take 2 toilet paper rolls and put them in front of their eyes.
Right.
But what we need is a simulator that can have fog go by often and floaters go by often, because that's what also makes it more difficult.
What you might do is get you a pair of reader glasses and see if you can't modify them. Just you're gonna have a cheapo pair, and right. Take a marker and just have it marked out on the lens, but only leave it like maybe a small point in the center of the glasses left, to see through, and that might help simulate that, right?
And use some kind of gray color for the fog.
You could do that as well. Yeah.
Foggy days.
Right. Sure.
Because that's what's most difficult is, okay, some days I see great, some days I see fair, some days everything's a blur, and that's all in 1 week. That gets harder to explain.
Okay, something I'm just thinking off the top of my head here, and Kevin, you can correct me, but as people get older, how they say the weather affects like your joints, and you have good days, you have bad days. You might be able to make that comparison and just tell them, there's good days, there's bad days. It's not a constant.
Right. I think the weather and the pressure is that barometric pressure and allergies and everything play a part in my vision. Yeah. So that would work.
Yeah. One thing I've observed, Liz, is with families sometimes, there's this reflex people have. They want to helicopter you, hover over you, and do things for you in a way that's almost kind of preemptive, where they see you walking towards a cabinet and they go ahead of you. Oh, let me get that for you. And you've already achieved a level of independence, but they're not understanding that, and they want to preemptively jump in and do something for you, thinking that you can't. That can cause some strain. I don't know if I'm describing what it is that you're describing or you're discussing, but a lot of it comes down to communication and just, and being assertive, not necessarily aggressive, but assertive, and just explaining when it's appropriate.
Okay, how do I do that with my sister who only texts? She doesn't ever want to talk on the phone. She's in Florida and she just texts and that's it. And she's my biggest challenge right now.
Oh, okay,
Hey,
sure.
I will include the direct link to the
Mhm.
site, their page on our website, in the wrap-up email. Just text that to her one day and be like, "Hey, check this out." Maybe that'll
Cool.
start a conversation.
That's good. Because
And
she's finally figured out that my researching on the internet is something that I'm really good at. So now if she needs something looked up because she has no clue, which is a lot, I love her, but she's clueless. She'll text me and say, "Can you figure this out for me?" And it's like, okay, you're in Florida. I have to look up the Florida state laws, but sure, no problem, because that is something I can do, even though I don't see good, because I can do that. So she's starting to get the hang of, I'm not blind, but so yeah, I'll send her that link. That sounds like a good idea.
Sometimes I think vision loss can be kind of similar to hearing loss. I mean, and maybe that's how some people can relate, because if you're hearing impaired, you may just need hearing aids. You may need somebody to speak louder, and only a small majority of people have actual, complete deafness.
Yeah, she probably wouldn't understand that one.
Helps.
I mean, I love her, but it's a challenge.
Right.
Okay, I'll send that link. That's a good idea.
Well, you have any final thoughts, Josie? Anything you want to add?
No.
No.
But if anybody has questions later or wants to talk, give me a call
817-332-3341.
and ask for Josie or client services. And I'll be there. Monday through Thursday only.
That's right. We're not here Friday through Sunday.
You're right.